Hello everyone and welcome to another video of the GC channel. I am GC, also known as JoeCoin, and today it's time to think about something very interesting. Have you ever watched an entire movie franchise and thought, this is not going so great, but then something happens and you think, oh, okay, this is very interesting. This is pretty great. This makes the franchise great again. And that is exactly what we're going to talk about today. That's right. Today, we're going to talk about all the movies that revived a franchise. You have those moments when a franchise sucks because of a bad movie. Or because a franchise just finished and it looks like it's never going to make a movie again. But then it happens again. And then it is good again and great again. And it's fun to see our heroes again in a great way. So that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about movies that either saved a franchise from turning into a really bad franchise, or we're going to talk about a movie that picked up the franchise after years and years of waiting for another movie. So today we're going to do the top 10 movies that revived a franchise. Let's get started. All the way at the bottom is Casino Royale, a great James Bond movie. I like it, I really do. Right after the disappointing mess that was Die Another Day, we get a movie that was actually pretty great. Casino Royale. We have a new, blonde, kind of old, but still good looking James Bond with a great film, a great love story, and it really feels like it is kind of a reboot. We got new characters, new cast, and a new story, and this story comes and goes and repeats itself in little parts throughout the entire franchise from here on. There's even talk about the story in the upcoming movie No Time to Die. And it starts off a new story that's very interesting, and we will have to see more of the James Bond movies. Right after this movie, the franchise really becomes greater and greater, and we can't stop watching. And right after Die Another Day, we all thought, the franchise is not really looking that great. Because we all know how cartoonish and how bad and embarrassing Die Another Day was. Sure, it had some great performances, but that's all about it. The story and the villains in this movie are not great. So yeah, I guess it's a movie with a great cast, but a bad story. So yeah, but then we get Casino Royale, a great movie full of action, drama, great acting, a new interesting cast, a new story, and just starts off and saves the franchise in a different and great looking way. And it's awesome. At number 9, we have Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. Right after the Deathly Hallows Part 2, we all thought that the Harry Potter franchise would be done. And we will be glad with that. This ending was pretty good for the Harry Potter franchise. But then we got the news of a prequel franchise taking place lots and lots of years before Harry Potter. And that looks very interesting to me. Not the thing we were hoping for. We were more hoping for a Next Generation movie with Harry's kids and Hermione's kids and Ron's kids and Ginny's kids, but maybe we'll get that anyway. Who knows? There are rumors about that movie, so who knows? But we were actually more hoping for that than this prequel franchise. But this prequel franchise is very interesting. It is not as great as the original Harry Potter franchise. It is not as great as the original Harry Potter franchise. Not at all. But it is a very interesting and great looking promise. We get a group of heroes we don't know but are very fun and great to watch that are looking for animals while also trying to save the world from another war that is going to happen. And that's actually all it. This movie starts off the new prequel franchise and it is pretty interesting, pretty good. However, some people didn't really like it because it is just weak compared to the other movies in the Harry Potter franchise. So yeah, and I have to agree that the movie is certainly a lot weaker than all the other Harry Potter movies, but it is also pretty great and fun to watch, and I also really liked the sequel. The Crimes of Grindelwald is a great movie. I even found that better than the original, and I really like to see more of the Fantastic Beast movies. So yeah, I'm looking forward to the Fantastic Beast franchise. Don't know who else is, but I am. And I hope that we're getting a next generation movie eventually. Next up is Jurassic World. Alright. It is fun, you guys. It is very fun. The Jurassic Park franchise is just great. It starts off pretty good with a movie that introduces us to an interesting dino world. Dinosaurs living in the modern world. Who doesn't like that? That is a very interesting promise, and it goes very, very wrong. People die, and it happens a lot of times throughout the next few movies. The Lost World and Jurassic Park 3 were two movies that were not great, but also not bad. Some people just find them disappointing, and in my opinion, I actually don't hate them. I think they're pretty great actually. They're not great movies, they're just good movies. The effects may not be that great, but the story and the characters are very, very interesting, and I like that about those movies. Then we had to wait 15 years for another movie, and we got it, and it is great. It is awesome. It is a fun movie full of action, great new looking characters, and great effects, a great story, a new park is built, and it's ruled by a new set of heroes. And the action is just great. I love the new cast of characters. And I think it's great that they do this whole thing without even letting some of the old cast coming back. And I'm really glad and proud of this new looking trilogy. Next, at number 7, is Star Trek. Right after Star Trek Nemesis, we were very, very disappointed. But then we got this new looking reboot made by a new director with a new cast, with great acting and great storytelling. We were all very satisfied. We liked it. We read it. But then those sequels came. Damn, those were not great sequels. But let's look past that. This movie was pretty great. Star Trek was a pretty great movie and it saved the franchise. It rebooted the franchise and revived the franchise in a good way. And number 6 is X-Men First Class. The X-Men franchise started off great. It had a great cast and great looking characters and great story. And the action was just amazing. The first two movies were great. The Last Stand was okay, but had a very disappointing ending. And some people didn't really like that. Then we got the terrible, terrible spin off that was X-Men Origins Wolverine. And then this movie came around, X-Men First Class. A very interesting looking movie. It had barely any Wolverine in it, but it worked. It followed our X-Men when they were young, when they were still exploring their minds, when the X-Men was about to begin, when Magneto turned evil. It all tells that the beginning of the X-Men and the story of how Magneto turned evil. And it does that in a pretty good way. And what comes after this is just great. Next is Batman Begins. George Schumacher really ruined Batman for us. He really did with Batman and Robin and Batman Forever. Two very disappointing and terrible, embarrassing movies. And we are glad they are now forgotten. And that we got a new franchise that's way better. The Dark Knight trilogy made up for those horrible movies. And the Dark Knight trilogy is full of great things. And Batman Begins starts off that trilogy in a great way. We see a new Batman, a new Alfred, a new set of villains. Scarecrow is awesome in this movie, and the acting is amazing. The effects are great looking. The story is awesome, and it really shows a very interesting looking movie. It is just great. Next is Godzilla. It is so great. No, but seriously, Godzilla is a pretty great movie. We got the original Japanese movies, they were very fun. Then we got the terrible, forgettable uh, remake from 1998. And then we got this new movie from 2014, and it was awesome. It was full of great action, great looking monster fight scenes. Sure, a lot of the fight scenes were in darkness, and there wasn't really that much Godzilla as we wanted. There were more human storylines than we wanted, but the fight scenes in action and story was good enough for us. And so it began a new franchise. The Monsterverse is very great. Thank you guys for making this awesome movie. Next is Aquaman. The DCU was not looking that great. It started off pretty rough with Man of Steel, a movie that's very divisive. Then we got Batman v Superman, a terrible, disappointing movie. Then we got Suicide Squad, a movie that was okay, I guess. Pretty good, but not great. Then we got Wonder Woman, a pretty great movie. Then we got Justice League, a pretty disappointing, terrible movie. We really hope the Snyder Cut will be better. And then we got Aquaman, a movie that was very interesting. It had great action, great characters, great acting, and a good enough story, I guess. And sure, there were some things in it that weren't that great, but there are also a lot of highlights that are just so awesome. And from here on, the DCU gets better and better. And number two, we have Rise of the Planet of the Apes, a great movie. Right after the Planet of the Apes franchise ended in 1973, we were all kind of satisfied, I guess. Not that much, but a little bit. Then we got the terrible reboots from Tim Burton in 2001, and that movie was just not that great at all. And then we get this movie from 2011, and that movie started off a new, interesting looking trilogy that was pretty great. And it was pretty fun. It had great action, great new characters. I loved Caesar, I loved the new ape storyline. and everything after this is so awesome, and that is just great. Alright, before we get to number one, I'd like to give away some quick honorable mentions.
Hello, Michael. I have something you might like to see.
We're gonna need a faster car.
Execute.
It is not King Cobra and not Speedy Cobra. And we cannot to bear and show me the Speedy Cobra.
As the world fell, each of us in our own way was broken. It was hard to know who was more crazy. Me or everyone else.
Right, and number one is of course Star Wars The Force Awakens. Right after The Return of the Jedi, we were all glad with a satisfying ending. Then we got the prequel franchise, which was okay, I guess. It ended in a pretty good way. And then 10 years later, we got another great looking franchise, which was the sequel trilogy that started off with The Force Awakens, and that movie was great. Sure, it may have been a knockoff of A New Hope, but it was full of great looking effects, great new characters, great action, great storytelling, and just so great and all. And it made more than $1 billion at the box office. So yeah, what else can you expect from this whole thing? It is just an awesome movie. It is great. I love it. I really do. So that was my top 10 list of the movies that revived a franchise. I hope you guys enjoyed. Tell me down in the comments below, which movie do you think revived the franchise? Tell me all down in the comments down below. Like this video, subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you guys next time.